Today's episode of Into the Van is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you can always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. And be sure to add our podcast Into the Van in How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application.
Rogue Radio, where rogues come to hang, with Alex Tempest and Bob Lothian bringing you the best in classic and modern country music.
Hey guys, welcome to Into the Van. Today we are brought to you by Rogue Radio and Rogue Country. Rogue Country is a new collective by artists for artists. It's playing honest music for honest folks, and it's just supporting all those genres, artists and musicians that either get overlooked by the mainstream or don't get a look in at all. And you know, it's for blues, country, western, honky-tonk, whatever the fuck I play, folk, murder folk, and any type of genre that's just steeped in that roots tradition. And it's whatever way people have taken it. We've got some amazing artists that we found through it, including today's guest, Rob Henry. And it's just a really positive, fun collective to be a part of. So you can go join on Rogue Country on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. There's a new radio show called Rogue Radio, which is playing the best of modern roots artists and rogue artists. So there's obviously Robert Henry's getting played on there, Josh Bettis, Kings and Queens, Charles Wesley Godwin, Sarah Shook, Amelia Quinn, alongside the legends such as Waylon Jennings, Buck Owens, Hank Williams, the Louvin Brothers. And it's just showing how great these genres are. So I urge you to go listen to Rogue Radio, go check out Rogue Country, and go listen to those artists I've just mentioned. It's a super fun thing that I'm so proud to be a part of, and it's really just pushing a scene and an ideal that I think is lacking in not just the UK scene but the scene overall. As always, we are of course brought to you by The Next Life, which is my album. I'm super proud of this record, and I hope you've listened to it on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you want to listen to it. And the love and care that went into this record, not just by myself but the other musicians like Travis Egnor and Amy Chalmers. I really think it's the best record I've made so far, and I'm so fucking proud of it. I'm so happy that I got to share it with people. So I'm going to drop a track in now.
Work on my daughter, work on my son, work on like your father until the day is done. Work until you can't, work until you bleed, work until you won't. Oh, the machine. And you ask yourself, am I free? And you ask yourself, am I free?
And you can go buy The Next Life over on my Bandcamp. You can go to my website at mike333west.com. And I don't care where you listen to it, as long as you listen to it, because I put a lot of time and effort into this record. It's something I'm super proud of, and I just want to share it with as many people as I can. So if you're a fan of this podcast and the artists I'm interviewing, you might enjoy my music. So go check out, guys. As I briefly mentioned, today's guest is Robert Henry of the Robert Henry Band. I found him through Rogue Country. His song Storm the Gate is fucking brilliant, and I'm a big fan of this guy. He's just released a new EP, which we talk about in this episode as well, and he has that classic sound that is not missing from modern music, but it's very fucking rare, and he does it so well. He has a metal background like I do, so that's something that's interesting in how he commits and performs this purely authentic country music, something to behold. I hope he comes over to the UK so I can see him live, but until then we've got his records. This is a really interesting chat because, he's very opinionated. Storm the Gate is a critique on Nashville and the modern country scene. He has his opinions when we get into it, and it's a really fun chat. So let's get down to it, guys. This is episode 15 of Into the Van with Mike West and Robert Henry. Welcome to Into the Van with me, Mike West. Cool, man. And how's everything treating you? Because I know you're one of the few musicians I've actually seen having dates to play with him. So are you playing, or is it around Wyoming?
Yeah, so we're in Wyoming. We've played some shows in Montana. We played in South Dakota. We played the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. That was pretty cool. Really good crowd over there. Trying to stay as safe as we can. Wearing masks and not doing a lot of backslapping and handshaking and mingling with the crowd a lot afterwards. So, we're doing what we can, but at the same time we got to work. So
yeah,
we're just, it's been an interesting time trying to strike a balance between keeping everybody safe and healthy and their families and everybody in the band and everything. And still being able to go out and do what we love to do.
I think that's the important thing, man. And I think you're one of the few musicians I've seen online actually add dates. I think, are you going back out in September for a bit, in a week?
We're going out in less than a week. We're going out in about 5 days.
Oh, cool, man. And how have the crowds been during this when you've been playing?
Honestly, they're starved for live music, and it's been great.
Cool, man. I think that's how I picture it in my head. Is just everyone's kind of got this pent up, not like aggression, but there's a tension, I think, that's underlying everything. And I think when live music can come back, it's such like an amazing way to alleviate that tension.
Yep. That was especially true in Sturgis, South Dakota, because you had the big motorcycle event, and there's people coming in from all areas of the country. And I mean, if you live anywhere near a major population center or on either coast, I mean, everything is just, I mean, you can't go out and do anything. So all those people were just ready to party. And it was a neat time. Probably some of the nights where it would have been slower, it was pretty busy because everybody was, like you said, they got cabin fever. They're all pent up. So
that's the thing, because have you played stages before?
I have not.
I've heard the reputation of it, because I know I did a few gigs with a guy called Cecil Allen Moore a few years ago in Scotland, and he's the guitarist for David Allan Coe as well. So I've seen him do stages and stuff, so I know the reputation, but I don't know, I didn't really know how big the whole thing is really.
Yeah, it's I mean, the numbers were obviously down this year, but it was still, I mean, pretty good crowd. Now, of course, since you had a bunch of people from out of town coming there, the numbers have gone up a bit in South Dakota, but we'll see what happens. We're just going to keep going to the places that'll let us work. And but yeah, Sturgis, I mean, even on the off year, it was still nuts. So it was really fun.
Cool, man. Like, it's such an interesting thing. And obviously it's in the works out now. What date did that come out? Was that August or July that came out?
It was August 7th.
Cool, man. And what's the reception been like to that?
It's been good. For what it is. I mean, we're just really starting out. It's our first official release. I mean, I was releasing singles before, but and we wanted to do a full album this year, but just with everything going on, we could only get into the studio so much. So I ended up just kind of having to use what I had to work with. I had a couple tracks that I had recorded in Nashville last year that ended up making it on there that I had released as singles previously, but just wanted to put them on the album to have more songs. And then like 3 or 4 other ones that we had recorded in Oregon with my live band, which I actually prefer to do it with my live band because we're kind of starting to develop a sound. But the reception's been good. Our listenership has increased since we released the EP. It's increased like 300%.
Really?
So yeah, I just got the numbers in for the month of August from Spotify, and it's doing really well. I'm actually really surprised.
Oh, amazing, man. I think it's such an important thing. I know there was this whole thing from the Spotify CEO where he was saying albums were dead and how artists should put out music shouldn't be in the album format or the EP format. It should be singles and singles, which I get if you're the CEO of Spotify. But from, time immemorial, and every artist I talk to, it always seems that the EP or the album is the flag you plant like on your hill to die on for the foreseeable future. And I think there's still such an incredible value, especially for a new artist to release a full album or a full EP.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, this is with every genre, but in country music, a lot of times there's, I mean, think of uh, things like, gosh, the album that Johnny Cash did that was all like Native American theme songs, and like the
Mm,
the Redheaded Stranger from Willie Nelson. I mean, there's concepts that go into it, and I mean the one that Colter Wall just put out, Western
mm,
Slings and Waltzes. It's total Western cowboy theme, and his first one was Imaginary Appalachia, and it was a lot of songs that were kind of like in a southern setting.
mm,
So there's different themes and different like concepts a lot of times that go into an album. So I
mm.
mean, I don't know. I've heard that too, but I feel like albums still have a place. There's
Yeah.
going to be a lot more releasing of singles in between albums, but I mean, I don't see the album format going anywhere, especially when you have a fan base built up. They
Mm,
don't want just one song at a time. They want a collection of them, and then you can go out and tour on the album,
mm.
you know? So, but maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Who knows?
I don't know. I'm always more inclined to the Spotify CEO doesn't know what he's talking about because I think he was behind Napster first. So
Oh, yeah.
of course, the guy who devalued music for 20 years is gonna shit on albums and not want,
Uh-huh.
anyone to do something of any actual value. But
Yep.
I'm 100% on your side. I love the album format. And when I was doing my record, I wanted the track listings to have its own place. I didn't think of it as this is going to be a single. I'm going to put 4 songs in between them. It was this is track 1, this is track 2,
Hmm.
onwards. And I don't think, well, maybe they do, but I kind of worry that people don't realize how much thought goes into track listing and
Yep.
the whole vibe of an album. And I didn't even realize with Coulter's stuff what you were saying, how he's going for different vibes on different things. Because I love the Imaginary Appalachia album. I wasn't a fan of his second album, but then his third one, this newest one, I've been like, oh, this is really interesting again.
Hmm. Yeah, that second one was kind of a transition, and I mean, you could hear by the way that he was writing, he was kind of transitioning from that more blues style into a
Mm,
more country western uh,
mm,
style. Uh, but yeah, it's a recurring thing, and like you said, I mean, I was very deliberate about the way I ordered the each track,
mm.
because I wanted to have some sort of ebb and flow and up and down, and that there's absolutely a reason why each song is in the place that it's in. So,
Cool, man. And like, that's the interesting thing about your music because the first song I heard of yours was Storm the Gate, which you released as a single prior to In the Works, and then it was on In the Works, and it's such not even just a standout track, but the way that the EP kind of works up to that, and then how it transitions from that was Storm the Gate. Did you see that as one of your most well known songs, even considering like it's obviously not Redheaded Stranger or anything. It's one of those songs, but it's probably one of your most recognizable. Was it a conscious effort to put that somewhere in the EP?
oh yeah, yeah. I actually considered kicking off the EP with that song.
Mm,
In fact, that was the plan until I wrote the title track. It originally was just going to be called In the Works, and
mm,
I was going to expect people to just glean, it's in the works, it's an EP, it's not even a full album, everything's screwed up, the world's gone
mm,
crazy, it's in the works, here you go.
mm.
Like, but then I ended up writing the title track like maybe 8 or 10 days before we were supposed to go into the studio.
Really?
and I ended up putting that one first. And then I kind of wanted to blend the sonic identity as much as I could, because for the tracks, and if you listen closely and if you know anything about production and just the way things are done at all in the studio, you can tell if you listen closely which ones were done in Nashville and which ones were done out west with my live band. So I kind of wanted to stick the two in it from the Nashville sessions in the middle, and then kind of blend in and blend out with the ones that I had done with my live band.
Oh, that's interesting. And with the actual track in the work, so you wrote that before you went into the studio? Because I was listening to that track and I was wondering about the turnaround time on that, because so you had the EP title first and then from there you kind of built that song around it.
So I actually had the artwork first, the innards of that old John Deere combine. And this artist out of Portland, Oregon, Bradley DeLay, his grandparents owned this land in northern Idaho, and I guess that old tractor's just been sitting there since he was a kid, and he used to use it as a jungle gym, and he had gone back and taken pictures of it, and we were just going back and forth on some ideas, and he sent me that picture. I was like, that's interesting. And then he sent me a zoomed in version of it, which is just like that 10 by 10 square. And I was like, okay, so it's an EP. I could call it In the Works. And so I just kind of went with that. And then like 3 weeks later, I was like, just kind of toying around with, I was jotting some stuff down. I was like, this could be like the title track, and I could make it about. So it was like 3 different angles that I was coming from. It was first I got the artwork. I was like, oh, that's cool. It's in the works, and it's literally in the works of the belts and gears of the machinery, right? And then I had the idea for the song, which the song is, the album's in the works, because everything is so screwed up right now in the world. So yeah, and I kind of touched on what it's like to be a musician during all this, and then I kind of touched on I think I wrote it in like June, and all the rioting and protesting and all the unrest, at least in the States. I don't know how it is over there, but that had just started. It was like the first week of June, so I kind of touched on some of that stuff, and I was like, you've heard the song. We got to come together so we can all get back to work.
Yeah. That's what I really enjoyed about your EP, is like the songwriting of it feels, it's got that traditional honky-tonk Buck Owens style, just like drenched in that kind of genre, like just not even the cliches, but those like benchmarks of the genre that make it so stand out, especially against like most modern things. But it was still really contemporary, and when you still talk about those things, it's you immediately identify with what's going on in the world right now, which is a really interesting mix of things to do. And that's what I really enjoy about like modern stuff. Obviously, you don't have to fucking quote TikTok or like give shout outs to modern things in that sense, but it has a contemporary feel to it.
Yeah, I just kind of try and write what I see, but then the music, I try to, obviously we have our own sound as the Robert Henry Band, but I try to keep it in that more traditional vein, which, like some of it I'll throw some piano in there, which we don't use a piano live, but bass line, it's got twangy Telecaster and lots of pedal steel. That's in fact, I don't even like to play live anymore without a pedal steel, because it adds so much to the sound, and it makes it sound so country. Even songs that aren't really all that country, like, we do a couple when we're doing stuff live. We do a couple like 12-bar blues songs, just to jam out and showcase the band. But as soon as you add that pedal steel in there, it makes it sound like a country song, even though it's really just a 12-bar blues.
I think it's the pedal steel is such a weird one because it's so iconic and it just oozes that country sound. And then I think that is part of the problem with this modern, pop country, where if you stripped away that pedal steel, that instantly makes you think of that. How country would those songs actually be?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, strip away the pedal steel and some of the classic stuff too. It's like
Mm,
all those hooks that those guys used to play, Ralph Mooney and Buddy Emmons and John Huey and all those great steel players, Norm Hamlet. Strip away those licks, and you've got a completely different
mm,
thing going on.
mm.
So it really is the sound of country music.
Yeah, it is. And with you play the telly, don't you? So what's your setup live for, like your live shows and your sound?
I'm pretty simple, mostly just because I don't know that much about gear. Um, I use I play a telly, um, and from what I can gather, I literally cannot find a serial number on it. I picked up at a guitar show in Southeast Portland a couple years ago, and from what I can gather, it's an old Fender Custom, maybe from the '60s.
Mm,
Um, and I mean, this obviously was somebody's baby at some point because it's got like just the tone just clean, just sounds like
mm,
that's Telecaster. Like I don't know if I don't I have the words to describe it, but that sound, whatever you're
mm,
thinking of, it's that, and I don't even have to put anything on it. So all I really use is a compressor, and then I play
mm.
through a Fender Deluxe Hot Rod.
Cool, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm always obsessed with like the telly sound because it does seem that like if you just push one thing one way, it just completely loses that signature telly sound, and I really enjoy like whenever I get to a gig, I'm always if I manage to get to the front row, I'm staring at the pedal boards and the setup first just to see what's going on. But you had a metal background originally, didn't you? Or were you in a metal band first?
I was in a metal band when I was like 15, 16, 17. Uh, we had a metal band. We were called Bigger Trigger. And we did everything from, you know, Slayer and Metallica and Anthrax and Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, all the way up to, I mean, one time we even covered a Rat song. I mean, we were like all over the place, but hard rock, heavy metal. Um, and actually, my drummer that I play with now was in that band with me back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but yeah, we had fun. I eventually my voice changed, and I always grew up with country music from my parents, and eventually my voice changed, and I I couldn't sing the Rob Halford or Bruce Dickinson or Ryan James Dio style of singing, and I was like, huh,
Hmm.
okay, country stuff is pretty cool. I've always liked it, and now I can sing it, so I'm gonna focus on that.
Oh, amazing, man. I was in a thrash band when I was like 17 up until I was about 19. And I kind of did the same thing as you, but it wasn't, I did more of like the screaming style of stuff. So it was like more thrash, slightly
Hmm.
more Slayer, Pantera side of things.
Yeah.
And I even back then, I knew I couldn't maintain that vocal range for as, for like a prolonged period of time. And then the band kind of dissolved. And I was just sat there listening to a load of country and blues records. And I always felt that that was more accurate for like my own songwriting voice and my own thoughts than a metal band would be.
Hmm.
Because when I was in a metal band, I don't know if you were the same thing, but I was pretty an extreme, like just a stubborn, stupid kid. So a lot of my viewpoints were like black and white, and there wasn't much room for gray area. And as I've gotten older and like reflected more as a songwriter, there's a lot more gray. And it's been really interesting to see that like perspective as like that young kid writing metal songs to what I do now.
I definitely hear you on that. Yeah, I was the same way. It was black and white. Like if you're not metal, then I mean, we would some of the thrash shows you get punk kids showing up too.
Mm.
Like so, like I went to I think God, what was it? It was Overkill and I want to say they were with Exodus that time around.
Nice.
And like I said, like some of the hardcore kids will show up at the thrash shows, and like we used to just the the punk kids and the metal kids would just like go at each other in the mosh pit for no reason, just because we were into different stuff, even though we're
Mm.
the same show. And really, thrash metal is just a mix of hardcore punk and heavy metal, anyways.
Mm.
So we're all there for the same reasons. But I was very black and white. Like you're metal or fuck you.
Yeah.
Like so
Mm.
yeah.
And what was kind of like when you picked up, so like you had your metal when you started picking up the telly and the country kind of stuff, what were the albums that you were listening to that kind of influenced that change?
I was listening to a lot of let's see, Honky Tonk Heroes,
Mm.
Waylon Jennings, pretty much anything that Merle Haggard ever put out. Um, I was listening to the stuff that I could sing,
Mm.
because originally I wasn't playing a telly. In fact, for the first 2 years that I was playing out live, I didn't do any lead work. I just played an acoustic rhythm.
Mm.
It's only been in this iteration of the Robert Henry Band that I've got back into like actually playing guitar, because I knew my scales pretty well when I was doing the hard rock and heavy metal, but I kind of just dropped out of it.
Mm.
But it came back to me pretty quick once I started using it again, and I do a lot more lead work now.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, yeah, like I said, I liked Hank Jr. a lot
Mm.
when I was first getting back into it, and then obviously Johnny Cash, just because I could sing all those. I have a pretty low range, so I could sing all those deep voice songs. So
Mm. Cool, man. And that's your voice. It's got one of those things where it's got such a like low baritone that just instantly just resonates and it just hits. Because I always kind of look, or I really always want to be kind of blown away by a voice. And I know that's a really high bar to set in like my head, but it's just what I always go to. And I remember when I first heard Storm the Gate, that was like, oh shit, this is, an iteration that I love from way back when, and it's kind of reared its head in different iterations. But this is a new guy singing like that. Has that been, a point of kind of like a focal point for an audience when you start singing? Does that kind of snap people's heads if they've not necessarily seen you before?
I have had people come up to me and say, so my old band was like all old timers.
Mm.
Um, and I have had people come up to me and say, thinking that I was the guitar player, not really paying attention, like I'm kind of in
Mm.
their peripheral vision. They're in the back at the bar, not really paying attention, and they'll go, well, who's that singer? He sounds really good. I'm like, oh, that's me. And they're like, no, fuck you, that's not you. And then I get back up, and they're like, oh, wow, okay. I'm not a very big dude, and obviously I'm 27, so I don't really look the part that I think people, if they just hear me, I kind of sound like an older guy. But
Mm.
I don't know. It's definitely, yeah. People are surprised that I have this voice, and they're like, "Well, where did it come from?" I'm like, I don't know. I just sang a lot and just kind of developed my own thing.
Yeah, and it just kind of happens.
Yeah. Well, you just have to use it,
Mm.
and then you develop uh your own phrasing and your own style. And I just try to listen to a lot of um, guys that have the same range, like Don Williams and
Mm.
Johnny Cash, and even guys like Josh Turner. I mean, that dude is pretty much right in my wheelhouse. Randy Travis.
Mm.
I pick up a lot of or I try to emulate some of that phrasing, because I'm never going to be able to sing like Marty Stewart or any of the guys with more like higher voices. So I listen to what I can glean from phrasing wise.
Cool, man. And I always kind of, people always say they can't sing. And my dad's one of them people who's never been able to sing a note. But I've always tried to argue the point that people can sing even if you have like zero ability. If you actually put the time in, it's just another instrument and muscle to train. But there seems to be such a perception, especially, I don't know if it's from like reality TV or, those type of shows, but it's either you have it or you don't. And I imagine that with the phrasing and stuff, that took a long time to truly like find your voice in this style.
It did, and finding keys that would fit for me. And you know what? Yeah, the whole attitude that either you have it or you don't is just kind of bullshit in my opinion, because I mean, none of the guys in Kiss are particularly good singers, but
No.
I mean, I can't think of a lot of bands that have sold more merchandise and more albums than they have. I mean, think about like all the guys in the alternative scene, like Steve Malkmus from Pavement. I mean, that dude can't even sing a lick. I mean, he's talking half the time, and he just kind of sounds like a whiny little nerd. But I mean, he's considered one of the most influential people in the '90s alternative scene of all time. So, I mean, even Neil Young, not an amazing singer, but a really great artist, and found his niche. So, yeah, and that is a myth that's been kind of propagated by these shows like The Voice and American Idol, and there's people that are a lot worse singers than some of the people that have won those shows that have had careers that last 35, 40, 50 years in music because they have their own way of doing things and they have something to say.
Yeah, I always argued how superficial those shows were because, if Bowie, Bob Dylan, and Lemmy went on any of those shows, no one would fucking turn around for the three of them. But they are three of the greatest musicians who have lived in the last century.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. So going on to, I wanted to try and break into your songwriting techniques a bit more. So I wanted to, I always, as a musician myself, and as like I've started doing this podcast and stuff, trying to be like explain your songwriting process to a musician is trying to be like, describe the color of the sky. So it's always one of those things. So I always prefer to try and go into an actual song. And obviously, as I'm a huge fan of Storm the Gate. What was the songwriting process behind that song?
Okay, well, Storm the Gate I was in a songwriting session in Nashville, and I was with the producer, and he was kind of helping me. Like, we were bouncing ideas off each other, and basically that song came from writing a bunch of songs that I didn't give a shit about. He didn't really get what I was there to do or what I was trying to do. Like, there's a lot of people in Nashville that just assume like, oh, like you're here to make a hit, you want to make money, like let's make it happen. And we were just kind of disconnecting. Like, no, I want to make a song that I care about.
Yeah,
that is something that I would actually say in real life. And just the whole thing was not going in a direction that I particularly cared for. And so we finished the songwriting session, and the whole week he was like, we got to get the songs past the gatekeepers, all the people who make the decisions in Nashville about what's cool, what's not cool, what should get played on the radio, what shouldn't get played on the radio, what's too country, what's not country enough, all that stuff. And I just kind of had that idea in my head. And so after he left, I sat up that night with a 6-pack of beer, and I was like, who the hell are the gatekeepers? Time to storm the gate. Which, like, in my mind, I was like picturing a bunch of dudes with guitars like storming the gates of Helm's Deep and the Lord of the Rings, like
sick.
Which is like kind of harkens back to my heavy metal days. Like, I was thinking of like an old Manowar song, like just so yeah, I wrote that, and then I played it for the guy the next day, and he was like, all right, we're cutting that one. So I don't know if he pissed me off on purpose so I'd write something decent, or if he just heard it and said, that's what we're doing. But literally, I think it was like the day of, like the morning we were going to go into the studio, and I played him that, and I played him Dark Side, and that's two of the ones that we ended up cutting. And then we cut a couple other ones that just I didn't care for, so they'll probably never see the light of day.
Oh, that's interesting, man. So, like, I've never co-written or worked in a songwriting thing, and obviously Nashville has this huge reputation for that. Was that something, like, how many sessions did you have before that? How many co-writes or songwriting sessions have you worked on before that session?
I hadn't worked. I mean, I was there for 8 or 10 days, and we were trying to write songs the whole time, because we were going to go and track it uh, on the next to last day, and then I was going to do my final vocal like before I got on the plane. So we were just like trying to maximize our time. I hadn't done anything like it before. Haven't really done anything like it since, unless writing with my band counts. Um, for the most part, I just want it to be my voice. If I hear something I really like, there's been a couple local musicians here in Oregon that have put out albums. I'm like, hey man, would you mind if I cut that? But that's pretty rare. I like to write my own stuff. I don't see. Nashville used to be about the song. Now it's about the formula.
Yeah.
Back in the 50s, 60s, even into the 70s, it really truly was about crafting a really good song that told a story or made you feel something. And now it's like, okay, what's going to make the most money? Because at some point they decided that instead of marketing to their bread and butter, the traditional country music audience, which tends to be middle-aged, blue-collar, working-class males, they started marketing to teenage girls because they figured out there was a lot more money there. Because mommy and daddy are going to buy the concert tickets and are going to buy the records and whatever the heck else. And the teenage girls are also the trendsetters.
Yeah.
So, they figured that out, and then they just kind of went with that and really abandoned their core audience. And it, obviously, just because of age and stage, as long as it has a pop hook in it and a good groove, doesn't matter what you're really singing about. That's why every country song now is girl, truck, beer. I mean, it's like, sounds like a frat boy's grocery list. I could go on and on about that, but there's nothing I can do about that. So I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to make music how I want to make it. And the beautiful thing about it is the record companies are going the way of the dinosaur in our lifetime. I don't know about the album format like we talked about. I think that'll stick around, but the record companies and the Nashville dinosaur old way of doing things, I think that's eventually going to go down the tubes, because you can literally market to your niche. Like I know who's going to listen to my music. I don't have to go to all these FM radio stations who don't give a shit about real country music anyways, and say, please play me, because they're not the only outlet anymore.
Yeah.
There's Spotify, there's Apple Music. You can target your whole marketing plan to people that are going to care. And I know who those people are because I'm one of them.
Yeah.
So it's pretty straightforward for me, and that's what we're building right now. And there's guys out there doing it right now. I mean, there's the Whitey Morgans and the Cody Jinks and the Mike and the Moon Pies and Coulter Wall, and I could go on, but
that's such an interesting man, because like there's a lot to unpack there. But I know from that Storm the Gate song, I hope I don't butcher the words, but it's the part where it's like they torn up and paved over all the routes that run so deep. That chorus, that hook, to me was a hook I haven't really heard in modern music in a while. And that hook to me is something that could be on a mainstream radio. For my ears, it was something that sounded, epic, anthemic. And for that to not be the route that people go down is weird. And I saw the CMA nominations. I don't pay attention to those like nominations or the award shows and things, but I saw it was on an article, and it was Dan and Shay and Justin Bieber were nominated for something, for some 10,000 Hours song, and it is 100%. It's marketed to the teenage girls, of the world, which that's where the money is. That's, when you see the pictures of Beatlemania, that's what you see is the
Of course,
screaming
of
teenage
course.
fans.
Yeah.
But to actually still think that it's about the music at that stage is just a farce. And I think that's what the record industry is coming up against now.
Yeah. Because people who want something more and know in their hearts that there's something missing from mainstream music will go out and seek it.
Mm.
And, we want to be in the position where when they scratch the surface a little bit, we're there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, and then, every once in a while they'll throw the traditional country fans a bone. Like, they're trying to market, and I'm not ragging on anybody. Everybody has a different song in their heart. I just happen to be a little bit more traditional because for some reason I'm a 90-year-old man on the inside. But they'll try and say, oh well, God's Country by Blake Shelton. Like, people will say, oh well, that's more country, and then they'll say, oh, Luke Combs is kind of bringing it back. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that's just pop country that sounds like it's from 10 years ago.
Mm.
Like, and by the way, whoever says long neck ice cold beer never broke their heart doesn't drink enough goddamn beer. So
yeah, exactly, man. It's a really weird situation because it's always been this kind of mainstream versus the underground in every genre, but for country music, it does seem to be at the forefront of these issues. And I always, obviously, in the UK, it's different because the UK country scene over here, it still has that level of superficial, like award shows and organizations and things.
mhm.
And it's still, people think that that's the route to take, despite, if you look at the American model of, the CMAs are the biggest thing, but Sturgill hasn't won anything. Isbell's not done anything. When was the last time Christopherson was there? And you see all these artists that are thriving outside of the industry, but people still think you need to pander to it. And there's so many amazing artists coming through now that don't. And I think people like yourself are showing that there is always a route around it. But it still baffles me to this day where people still try and participate in it.
Yeah, I think it's just more work for people that are more on our side of the scene to get the word out.
Mm.
Because, and it's almost paradoxical, because you do have guys like Sturgill Simpson and Isbell and Stapleton and these guys, which a lot of what they put out isn't pure country. I mean, they're not putting out Buck Owens records or
No.
anything, but it's a lot more country than anything that's on country radio.
Mm.
And they're not just appealing to country music fans. In fact, most of the people that follow the CMAs and are in that world couldn't even tell you those guys' names.
Mm.
But then you have people like Sturgill Simpson and Casey Musgraves winning Grammys, which is a whole other level and a whole other bigger audience than the CMAs.
Mm.
So country music is missing out on a big piece of the pie by not respecting country music.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really weird, man. And it's weird because obviously country radio and the Opry has this place in country music fandom and in country music hearts, but then you scratch the surface and they kicked out Hank Williams, they like blacklisted Johnny Cash while Columbia then dropped Johnny Cash, and you see how even the big artists were shunned by the establishment, and it's still people go towards the establishment still, and it's really baffling as like an outside, like obviously I'm UK, I wasn't like raised on country music and stuff, so just as kind of a outsider of the genre and then loving it, embracing it and playing it, it's weird to see why people still worship at that temple.
Yeah. And one thing I do want to hit on, I've done a lot of interviews with you guys across the pond, and you always are qualifying that, well, I'm an outsider and I didn't grow up with country music. Let me remind you that the people who started making country music however many years ago
Mm.
came from the British Isles for the most part.
But that's
And
the folk songs,
that
yeah, like
that
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 vibe to
that
it.
folk tradition, that storytelling tradition that is a direct uh relative, a very close relative to country music.
Mm.
So you guys don't have to qualify yourselves in any way because that storytelling tradition comes from your culture. So thank you. That's
Well,
one thing.
I'm English, so if I accepted like a responsibility for that, I'd have a lot of Scottish and Irish and Welsh people screaming at me for being another English person that takes credit for the other
Whatever.
country stuff. But which, as an English person, it does seem more like my culture to do.
Yeah.
But it's weird, man, because obviously the UK had this amazing folk, because all the original murder ballads and those type of songs that carried over to like the Appalachian standards
Yep.
were written in Great Britain. But then we had, a country scene throughout the 50s and 60s that was really good. And it seems in the last maybe 10 years, there's been this like distilled, hyper created pop country scene in the UK that's been really weird and really divisive. And we've had this outdated club scene, which has been a really weird thing to get over because a lot of what the UK has to deal with is a lot of costumes and a lot of pretend. I don't know if have you played in the UK? Have you come over here?
I have not, but it's been talked about.
Well, hopefully you will, but hopefully you won't have to endure seeing a British act put on an American accent, which I've seen a few times. And there's this battle of authenticity that is raging in the UK because people are scared of embracing actual UK country music for some strange reason, and there's just this weird clash at the moment.
It's interesting that you say that because on a smaller um, scale, um, like a more regional scale in the United States, obviously I live on the West Coast. I talk kind of plain for
Mm,
for for the American accent. I would consider myself standard American. Um, some of my vowels might be a little different, but as far as I mean, I kind of sound like a regular American on any sitcom TV show that you'd see.
mm,
Um, but there's people who are from the Northeast who have talk really sharp like this, and there's people from the Midwest who are kind of like, oh yeah, okay, and there's people from all kinds of areas of the country who play country music, and they feel like they have to say, all right, y'all, well, we're gonna do this number for you, all right.
mm,
So thanks for being here, and it's like, why are you talking like you're from Tennessee or Arkansas or
mm,
Alabama? You're from California.
mm,
Just talk like you talk and sing like you sing, because
mm,
country music fans can sniff out fake from a mile away.
mm. It's
So
weird that
just
that's.
be yourself.
It's strange that that's actually a thing. Maybe it is like the weight or the idea of country music that forces that, but it is weird to have like, people from like lads you from Wigan pack it in. And it's this weird not a reputation, but there's this weird I don't even know if people think they have to be obliged to do it, but then it kind of again goes back to they just cut away what made actual UK country and folk great. And
Hmm.
it's a really sad thing to see. And I think it's, what you've been talking about in your records and what we've been talking about. It's that thing of authenticity that's always at the core of every single issue in music.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I mean, shit, I don't care where anybody's from. Uh, I mean, there was, talk about back in my younger days. I was like, well, how can you be a country singer if you're not from the United States? Like, this is
Mm,
our music, which to a degree is kind
mm,
of true. But I mean, shit, if you're from India and you're singing great country music, I'm gonna freaking listen.
yeah,
I don't care. I just like good music, and I want authentic.
yeah.
I don't want you know, you get these bands in the Pacific Northwest where, like I said, like it's kind of like a plain accent, and it's you got people saying y'all on stage. It's like that's not part of our dialect in this part of the United States. Why are you saying y'all? We say you guys. It's it's not a thing. Please stop faking it. It's annoying.
Yeah. It's a weird one, man. Like, obviously I've personally seen a guy tie an American flag to his guitar and sing. He did a mashup of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Sweet Home Alabama and spoke in an American accent during that entire song. And it was the most cringeworthy thing I've seen in a while. And then I've seen on the club scene people dressed up as Native Americans, which is a whole other level of wrongness that I just can't even wrap my head around.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
But
what to say about that.
Yeah, that's the issue with the UK scene at the moment, is it is seen as a parody of itself, and it's hard to try and like take back the roots of it when it gets to that level. But it's something we're trying to like do as like the small artists of the scene. So hopefully we can like outlive these fucking idiots and put it on the right track.
And you know what, man? The same thing has happened probably 3 or 4 times over
Yeah.
in the States. You think back to like uh, the late 50s, 60s. You know, all these guys wearing, you know, rhinestones and nudie suits and like the most expensive boots and the Cadillacs with the you know, the horns on the front. And then you had Will Nelson and Waylon Jennings come out, and they're wearing jeans and a t-shirt and a basic black cowboy hat, and you know, Willie's wearing a bandana, and they look like bums. They look like hippies, and they kind of brought the music back to, you know, we're gonna be authentic, you know, and not to say that the guy's wearing. I mean, Waylon says it in that song, "Rhinestone suits and new shiny cars. It's been the same way for years. We need to change." So
yeah, exactly.
it goes up and down and in between, and you know, it's, you know, we have this. I think especially we got to remember, this is not the only time in country music that there's been a clash between where we've been and where we're going to go, because it's been happening pretty much since its inception. I mean, you know, people thought that the Carter Family was too commercial at one point. So, you know, the older people and the people who are really into the roots of the music are always going to have something to say about the new stuff. Unfortunately, now it's gotten so far from the roots of the music that like we really got to remind people either that or start our own fucking genre.
Yeah.
Because I mean, basically, it's the stuff that's on country radio right now is it's pop with a southern accent. I mean, just because you're talking with a drawl or you're trying to sound, or you're saying things that sound country, doesn't make it country music. I mean, one of the most country songs that I've ever heard was "Walking on the Sidewalks of Chicago." Merle Haggard, he's not talking about anything being in the country, being country, nothing. He's talking about being a bum in Chicago. And that's more country than anything on the radio right now. So
yeah, it's
I don't
nuts,
have an
man.
opinion or anything.
It's nuts, man. And like, I remember it took me, I don't know if I'm just like annoyed because it took me ages. Because obviously, when I first started singing, it goes back to what we were talking about before. I was dead nervous, finding my own footing, and I was a huge grunge, Nirvana, and Pearl Jam fan. So I, as a kind of defense, sang with this fucking horrendous Eddie Vedder style impression, like way of singing. And it took me so long to try and snap out of it and find my own voice that it annoys me when people aren't trying to find their own. And their own voice is what we need in these genres.
Yeah. So anyone who's listening, just be yourself.
Yeah.
Listen to stuff that you feel like you can sing and try and put your own twist on it, because we want to hear from you. And I've everybody does it. You just shared you were doing the Eddie Vedder thing. For a long time I would only sing in my like baritone. I was doing like Johnny Cash always. And then I realized I was like, okay, I don't want to be Johnny Cash guy. People want to hear my songs in my voice from my point of view. So it's just, I mean, it's easier said than done because it's hard to get up in front of people. But yeah, for anyone listening, just try and make it your own, whatever you're doing, because that's what art is.
Yeah, it is, man. And with your songwriting and stuff, do you write it solo and then bring it to the band and then it builds up from there? Or is it a more creative process where you'll maybe have a few lines and someone else will come in and be like, this might go there?
Usually, yeah.
Mm.
So I write most of the songs. Sometimes me and my drummer Jake uh will write songs together, and there's a couple that he has written on his own. But usually the way we've done it is it gets written and then we bring it, and we'll have like a basic chord progression, and then the guys throw their 2 cents in for what if we changed keys here, and what if we did like a start and a stop and all the stuff, or what if we went from a 2/4 to a shuffle, or all the stuff that makes a song, all the dynamics of it. That's the most fun part about it for me, is not even the writing, the arranging, because I'm not as good at that, but I like to be in a band setting and have us all working together and creating the music.
That's one of the things I miss. Like, I've been a solo artist for nearly 4 years now, or it was 4 years. Yesterday was my first live show, if memory serves. But I've always done everything solo, and when I cut the full album, again, it was just me and a guitar, and we laid the tracks and stuff, but I knew I was going out to musicians, but I had zero expectations and zero notes. So when I got these musicians in and they brought these levels to it that completely, you never comprehend or think about like in planning. And the collaboration between it just took it to another level that I'm really excited to, put more musicians together. Because I've got a fiddle player now that I play live with every now and then. And even that as an extra thing is just like taking these songs to a whole level where it actually makes me sound like I know what I'm doing.
And I mean, one little fill or one little lick can make an entire song. I mean, there's certain songs you listen to, and you're just waiting for that one little thing. So yeah, it's really cool to see it come together. And by the way, where can I listen to your stuff?
I'll send it over to you. I'm on, Spotify and all the major things, but I'll shoot you over some stuff.
Cool. And what was your arrangement when you recorded?
So what I did was, for the first EP, it was just me and a guitar, and it was 3 microphones set up in a room because I wanted to do like a Robert Johnson style thing where he was recording. So it was all live takes. We picked the best take. That was what we went with. So for this album, I wanted to build on that. So we cut all the guitars and vocals separately, like put them all together, and then it was going out to different musicians. And it was hard. I felt quite bad going to musicians because I didn't have a drummer. We weren't really playing to a click track, so it still had that really live, loose feel. And then we got, I don't know if you know Travis Egnor. He's a guy in the States who's played on some Chelsea Nolan records and things.
Okay.
And then there was a local fiddle player who was really fucking phenomenal, Amy Chalmers. So I went to them too, and I played bass and harmonica over some of the tracks as well, just as when I was writing them, or when I was listening to them in the studio, I was like, that might fit there. Oh, and my producer also played harmonica on a few tracks, but it's still quite sparse compared to what a full band would be.
Well, send me over. I want to listen to it.
Yeah, but it's interesting. And I don't know if you like. I'm a huge like Talking Heads David Byrne fan, and I remember when I was a kid, I saw this live show on a VHS or whatever my dad had of David Byrne came on with just his acoustic guitar. And then throughout the set, more musicians came on, adding to the sound to it. And I really like that idea as a concept. So for the next album, I want to bring some more stuff in. I'm definitely going to get a fucking drummer at some point. And that'll be like, trying to like just push it a bit further.
Yeah. And the king of that is Waylon Jennings. There's so many of his songs is like he'll start out just on the guitar, and then the bass will come in, then a little
Mm,
bit of a harmonica, and then it'll all kick in at once, and it's like you're just adding and adding and adding. It's
mm.
Yeah, that's a cool way to do it for sure.
It's just something I've kind of not thought loads about. I was just like, this is quite a cool concept to kind of, you can audibly hear the evolution then. But I
Hmm.
had this really weird review of this album where this guy was like, as a musician, I can't help but hear harmonies and a banjo and a drummer. And I was like, how the fuck's that's like my fault in a review? It's like you've imagined something then. That's not my fault as like a
Yeah,
review. I was like, just because you wanted to hear something else, like I kind of felt like, well, sorry, I didn't do what was in your head. But it was
yeah.
a really weird thing to be like, because I get asked, I don't know if you've had it when you've played solo, if you have, where it's like, oh, I wish I saw you with a full band, which I get. And I don't know if people get the full implications and costs of having a band out. So it's like one of those things where it's like, this is what you're getting right now.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Look, people don't. A lot of people don't get what all goes into it, and then
Mm,
I mean, even if you're not playing with a band all the time, to hire out the talent to go into the studio is not cheap.
yeah,
Because if you want it to sound good, you have to have people that um, know what they're doing, and those people definitely value their time.
yeah,
So
100%.
yeah, but yeah, no, I wouldn't worry too much about that. It's, everybody's got an opinion, so
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm always proud of the opinions I get. I have a slogan which I've been putting on t-shirts, which is something people told me in kind of criticism, which was not country enough, not folk enough, not blues enough, too heavy. And I was like, that's gonna be my introduction from now on then. And that's always something I've really enjoyed doing, is like subverting expectations. But we're coming up to the hour mark, so I just wanted to like, I don't want to take up too much of your time. So you've got the tour starting in less than a week, is it? And what's the future for the Robert Henry Band?
so yeah, we're going out on I think a little 2.5 week run, same area of the country. We're doing, let's see, we're going to Red Lodge, Montana. We're playing a horse show at the rodeo grounds. Um, and after that, we're in Rapid City, South Dakota. And I think we've got a couple other ones in between. I don't have the list in front of me.
Mm,
And then we're gonna wrap it up. Actually, speaking of American Idol, we're opening up for Josh Grayson
mm.
um, at the Outlaw Saloon in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so yeah, we actually had the chance to open up for Little Texas, um,
Mm,
as opposed to doing the Josh Grayson thing. But I really wanted to get the traditional music in front of like a younger crowd.
mm,
So we're gonna do that, and then back to Oregon, and then actually in October we're going out again. We're gonna play the $1 Million Cowboy Bar in Jackson Hole, Wyoming,
mm,
uh, and then I think we're gonna go back out to South Dakota and
mm,
play the bar that we played in Spearfish during Sturgis Week. Other than that, I'm gonna try in between our two little runs that we're doing in September, October. We'll have a couple weeks off in between. I'm gonna try and get in and do another single.
mm,
Um, so be on the lookout for that in the next few months. Um, I'm not sure which one we're gonna do because we've got probably 12 to 15 more songs that we haven't
mm.
recorded
Oh, awesome.
that are ready to go. And then yeah, we're just hoping to have a good year in 2021 and waiting for things to normalize a little bit more and possibly do a run to Texas, possibly do a run to the UK. And for those of your listeners who haven't checked out my social media, it's we're probably most active on Instagram. It's at Robert Henry Music.
Mm,
Um, Facebook is Robert Henry Band, and you can buy merch and you can pre-order a copy of In the Works on vinyl uh, for $20 on our merch page at roberthenrymusic.com. We've got hats, beer koozies, t-shirts, all the normal stuff.
oh,
So
awesome. I'll drop all those links in the description for this podcast as well. But going on to what you're saying, how long have you been the Robert Henry Band for, and how long have you been touring for?
uh Robert Henry Band. I want to say that I started calling it the Robert Henry Band in winter, well, like November of 2017.
Cool, man. And what you were saying about like choosing the gig that would get you in front of maybe the fans that weren't expecting, or getting that traditional sound. Have you made those like conscious decisions before in terms of touring and support opportunities and things like that?
I haven't actually. I've pretty
Mm,
much played in the same kind of genre, which I mean,
mm,
there's still plenty of potential fans to be tapped in there, but I just figured given this chance. So I guess part of the decision was we just opened up for Shenandoah
mm,
in Miles City, Montana, which was awesome. Those guys were so cool. Lots of great country songs. That late '80s, early '90s sound. Just fun country songs.
mm.
So that I mean, Little Texas is kind of like the same era. So I was like, given the choice, like let's get in front of people, because it probably would have been a lot of the same people.
Mm.
Because Little Texas is also a '90s band. So I just decided to go with the American Idol guy, Josh Grayson. Um, which and I mean he's had a ton of success on all the streaming platforms, and it seemed like he had a younger demographic, and I want to get our traditional sound more out to that demographic. So, like
Mm.
I said,
No, that makes sense, man. That's such a smart move, and especially like with the team behind you embracing Instagram, I think there's a lot of new technologies and platforms that the country scene aren't using yet. Because I
hmm
know I've been watching Matt Heafy from Trivium. I've been watching his live streams, and they did a full band one the other week, which was amazing. But there's not many musicians that are really embracing these new things. And if live stream on Facebook's going the way it's apparently going, I think a lot of people are going to be caught out if they don't go to these things.
yeah, that's one cool thing that's come out of this whole pandemic is all these live stream opportunities.
Mm,
Uh, and I can't believe, in the past, even in the past 10 years with the advancements in technology, that it wasn't more of a thing before.
mm,
Like it's and I hope it sticks around because there's some people who live in corners of the world where I may never even be able to play a live show, but
mm,
you can see Robert Henry Band live, and I can plug for my merchandise and for my the hard copies of my music, and make sure people have all the streaming platforms correct, and reach people all over the world. It's really pretty neat. I hope that's a facet that sticks around in the industry. I think it will.
Yeah, hopefully. And I think there's definitely new ways to do it as well. Because I do some through Zoom every now and then, which I've found engages better with, instead of the Facebook crowd. Because Facebook, you can kind of drop in, drop out. But if
hmm
I set up a Zoom meeting where people can join, not only are people more engaged in the comment section and things, but I've actually sold more merch through those. It's been a really interesting thing to look at. And obviously, like, I'm so happy that I started this podcast in March because it's given me every 2 weeks some content to put out and a new like creative like outlet, and obviously getting to chat with yourself is a huge fucking highlight. But it's been such an amazing thing, and I'm hoping a few more musicians would do this because it gives you more of an opportunity to express yourself outside of your lyrics and songs, and it's such an interesting medium to start taking over.
Yeah, and I mean these type of things and independent publications like yours. First of all, it's super fun to just get on and shoot the shit about music because we obviously have like a similar level of music knowledge. So that is just really fun to just kind of, I mean, we had a whole section there where we were just kind of like, just just going back and forth about stuff,
Mm,
which I love, especially when we're talking about music. Um, and then it's just kind of, it's nice to be able to open up and really, because like sometimes like some of these songs I've written and like some of the stories I've never even told. So it's like,
mm,
when you're asking the right questions, it makes it a really cool thing for either people who haven't heard me before that are fans of you, or people that are fans of me that are listening to your podcast because I'm on here.
mm.
It's like a cool new story every time I do one because there's always a different question that brings something else out. It's
Oh,
it's really fun, and I
oh,
particularly enjoyed this one, man. Like
oh, well, thank you so much. I've been because I've been doing this, I've brought out an album, I've been doing radio interviews and things, and I've realized how much I love podcasting compared to the radio stuff, because the radio stuff's fun, but they want you to sum up your entire career in less than like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So you seem to just be trying to rattle off as much as you can, and then you're like, no one's even going to be listening to this because I'm just talking too fast. So
Yeah.
I've been doing these like an hour long, so I get to, elaborate and go off on tangents. And then when I go back to doing radio stuff, I'm like, oh my God, I've got to wrap this up. Like I just did one with Alex Tempest for Rogue Radio for a recommend section.
Mhm.
And the segment went for over half an hour, which for a radio show is not fucking good. So we have to re-record the thing because we just enjoyed talking to each other that much. We just went off on complete tangents, which is
Yeah.
something that I think podcasts can be really great for musicians who have opinions like yourself to do. So what I'm trying to say is you should definitely start a podcast.
Hey, I might. I've actually my girlfriend who does a lot of the social media stuff, or all of it actually. She keeps telling me, she's like, you should start a podcast about like classic country. Like she's telling me like you come out with like a new fact that I've never heard. Like we've been dating for 5 years. She's like, you say something new about country music that I didn't know every day. To which I say it's because you don't listen half the time. But yeah, it's definitely something that I have considered. Maybe I will. I mean, I got a lot of freaking time on my hands these days. We're not playing out nearly as much as we used to.
Yeah, I think one of the lucky things with like me and the road country stuff was we knew kind of early on that the pandemic was going to hit how it hit. And we were like, we need to do things that are not going to be live shows, because live shows, if we just consider them gone for now, we need to find new ways to reach people. And that's been what we've really been putting our time and effort into. But Storm the Gate with Robert Henry would be a fucking phenomenal podcast, by the way.
Yeah. Oh God, I gotta write that down. Storm the Gate with Robert Henry. That's a good idea, man. God, what was I gonna say? I forget. Oh yeah, the Rogue Country guys. They actually played Storm the Gate on their last episode. And those guys are super cool. Speaking of, I mean, talking in between songs and not having a radio format, I would much rather listen to those guys talk about music than any sort of like, FM radio show.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think with Alex Tempest and Bob Lothian hosting it gives, again, it's got that podcast vibe to it, which I love because I'm a huge fan of like Two Bears, One Cave with Tom Score and Bert Kreischer and those type of podcasts where you have that personality on top of, the interest that you came there originally for. And I think the Rogue Radio show is, something that is going to be not necessarily a game changer, but I think it's going to make some waves.
Yeah. I hope all these alternative forms of media, I hope they keep going, and I hope they really get integrated into country music because, like I said earlier, I mean, the way it's going in the mainstream, we might just have to create our own genre.
Yeah, that's how I think it is definitely going with independent musicians like yourself. That it's just, why would you wait for the gatekeeper to, give you the keys when you can just fucking bypass it anyway? You realize the gate is attached to a wall that ends 10 foot the other way.
Yes, I love it.
Cool, man. Well, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much for doing this, but I don't know what you've got on plan for the rest of the day, but I hope you have a great time, and thank you so much.
Well, I mean, I would keep talking to you for the next couple hours, but if you're gonna kick me off,
I'll kick you off. But I promise I'll have you back for another episode soon. And if you're in the UK, we're definitely gonna have to shoot the shit face to face as well. But thank you so much, man.
Of course, yeah. I'll let you know if we end up getting some dates there once they start letting Americans back over there.
Yeah,
we're gonna try and book some stuff. So yeah, let me know, and appreciate it.
Take care, man. Bye.
Bye.
And there we have it, guys. That's episode 15 of Into the Van, Into the Bag. Please go check out Robert Henry and the Robert Henry Band. His EP, In the Works, is absolutely brilliant. Storm the Gates is a standout track. But I've also, this morning while I was getting ready to edit this podcast, I've had his song Dark Side stuck in my head all day. So that's never a bad thing. So please go check out his music, go listen to The Next Life, go listen to Rogue Radio, and just keep supporting the musicians and artists you love, because in this world of the pandemic and the turmoil we live in right now, your support for these independent artists is what going to keep people going. You know, there's all this panic about venues closing down and businesses and stuff, but, you know, they may not exist in the future that comes up, but music and art always will. It just depends where the outlets will be. So please keep on supporting your favorite podcasts, your favorite bands and musicians, your favorite artists, comic creators, writers, poets, comedians, whoever the fuck you love. Just keep supporting them, guys, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.